Hi, I'm Lou, and today I'm going to hardwood my living room slash office. It's just a little 13 by 13 room. First of all, here's the hardwood. That's a 3/4 inch tongue and groove. You can see what that looks like. That's a roll of rosin paper. I think you can buy it for maybe 10 bucks a roll or so. You put that down on the subfloor before you put down the hardwood. I think it's so it won't squeak. This set of tools here, just a knife, a pry bar, a couple of these drywall mudding tools and screwdrivers. I use those to get the trim off. Also, a couple of hammers. When we get into laying the hardwood, we'll need the hammers to actually tap the hardwood. You want tight hardwood, so you just use the hammer to tap each piece in nice and tight. You'll see that later. I should have a chalk line, but I can't find my chalk line, so I'm going to use this laser level, which draws a line. It's going to draw a line on the floor, which, let me see if I can do that here. Yeah, you see how that draws a red line on the floor? That's so I know how to lay my first row of hardwood against a line. I'll show you that later. Here's some staples that we're going to use to staple the hardwood into place. There's a whole row of them. There's a whole box of them. And lastly, the best tool for this job, you absolutely need a hardwood flooring gun. It's a pneumatic tool. That is, it's hooked up to a hose, which hooked up to downstairs to an air compressor. And you lay this on top of the hardwood and nail a piece in. See if I can do that. A good example. It goes about like this. You can see how that's laid in there. And then you hit the that white thing on top with a hammer. And let me just demonstrate that a second here. You hit it with a hammer just like this, and it drives a nail into the floor. Hopefully I didn't do that. Oh yeah, I did actually. Drove a nail right into my carpet. You can see that. If you hit it hard enough, it'll drive it a lot farther, but luckily I just drove it a little bit, but that gives you an idea. It drives it in at a 45-degree angle, and that actually goes into the tongue of the hardwood, which is right here. It drives it in right like this. Here. Drives it in at a 45-degree angle, and that is what holds down the hardwood. Okay. Once you get trim started coming off, it's not so bad. Again, starting to crack the first part of the molding, but like I said, once we get this going, the rest of it should come out a little more easily. Hopefully. The trick, actually, I think, with pulling out molding without cracking it too bad is to get a hammer or something in behind it, so you're not, if you pull on this top edge, it cracks off. But what you can do is get it something that's like the hammer is a little thicker at the bottom. You put that about in the middle of the board, like so, and then you're not pulling on the top edge anymore. You can pull this back and kind of run the hammer down as you go. See how it starts coming off? Now it's no longer cracking the trim. Pulling the trim off, as I was doing before, it's kind of hard with the carpet down. This carpet's obviously going to come out anyway, so we are going to rip out the carpet. The best way to do that is to grab it with a pair of pliers and pull. Go ahead and show them how to do that. Get it started and rip it back. Okay, we have the strip of carpet cut out. This tack strip is also causing a problem for the trim, so let's pull that up. Now this is the way, assume you will get hurt. Go ahead and pull, because these tack strips are really mean. That's why they're called tack strips. They've got nails to hold them down, and as you can see, nails to hold the carpet. And those nails are just waiting to rip a hole in your hand, so be very careful with this stuff when you pull it up and when you carry it. Here's another little problem you may encounter if you've already got hardwood in the room adjacent to the room you're doing. You'll have a trim piece like this that comes up to the carpet. You see the carpet's here, tack strip. This piece, notice this is rounded right there. This is going to have to come out. This whole trim piece is going to have to come out. Replace it with 2 of these regular boards side by side, and then the hardwood starts here. So I've got to rip this out. Let me show you what this looks like, what it will look like. Over here you can see there's 2 rooms that were hardwooded at different times. This is, I think, is newer and this is older, but notice that there are 2 boards going sideways in the middle, and neither of them have curved edges. So got to rip that other one out and put 2 of these in. Okay, here's that edge piece that I was talking about pulled out. Actually, not the easiest thing in the world, because notice it has a tongue that's fixed into the groove of the boards next door. And it's nailed down, if you see, like right in there. See, there's some putty over it, but this board is nailed down all the way across. So, ideally you could just take a punch and hammer down on it like this and punch those nails through. I was not having very much luck with that because they're kind of thin, bendy nails like this. So what I did was I just took a drill and drilled several holes around like this. Just drill one on top. It scoots over to the side, then you get another one nearby. Just, work some holes around each one so that the nail is no longer really holding the wood. Then when you're done, this will be in here, and you just kind of pry it out carefully. Pry it out this way so you're not breaking this tongue. You don't really want to lift these boards up. You want to go this way with it. Okay, here we have all the trim off. I'm just cutting the carpet. I'll kind of work my way across the room as we go. All the trim's been pulled out. All the nails, vacuuming has been done. All the carpet pad also came up, and then with that a bunch of staples had to come out of the floor. Make sure all your staples are out, and then you roll out this rosin paper here. Alright, here's something else. When you come to a door frame, this is the bottom of a door, the board should fit completely under the frame. Sometimes they're low enough that it would just hit like this. Fortunately for us, it's already cut low enough for some reason. But right here, notice this piece right here is not low enough. It looks like someone has already started cutting. We need to finish that cut so the board will fit completely underneath. So we need 3/4 of an inch room to expand and contract underneath this door frame. Because what happens if this is butt up against like this, 1, it looks bad. 2, if this board ever expands, gets longer, it will buckle or press into this and break it. Can look bad. So you always want to leave 3/4 of an inch away from whatever you're getting to. So what I need to do is cut. And if Keith, you can hold this camera on the spot there. The way you do that is you put a 3/4 inch board down and then just saw like this. There are special saws that are more flexible. This is just a standard saw. There's some that are really bendy. It makes the job easier. But I'm going to fight with this for a while, but you get the idea. Alright, now starting the first row, as I was mentioning before, it has to be 3/4 of an inch away from the wall. And it turns out, to allow for expansion, it turns out The board is 3/4 inch thick, so you just stack another one in there and draw a line. Here, Keith, can you hold the camera for me? We just want to draw a line right at the edge of this board. That's one line there, and then let's go to the other end. I got the same thing. Set it down here and draw another line right here. Now, what you're supposed to do is snap a chalk line from this line down to that line. And then draw a line, well, that will be your line, your starting line. But I don't have, I can't find my chalk line, so I'm going to use a laser instead. There's our finished line we put in, and Keith is drilling little holes in the edge of the hardwood all the way through. And the first row of hardwood we're going to nail with these finishing nails. The hole that you drill should be just enough so the nail will go in tight. And do them every, like hand width apart or so. That's about 8 inches or something like that. Line it up exactly. The tongue should be right over that chalk line. And this should be 3/4 of an inch away from whatever it's going to hit to give an expansion room. There's about 3/4. It's on the line. And then nail it. There we go. Notice that I do it as close to the edge, about 1/4 inch away from the edge, because that way the trim's going to cover that nail hole. So we just keep putting this thing in here. Okay, and we'll just continue all the way. Okay, the first row is all in now. You can see down here we've nailed that in. And Keith is now putting in the second row. That is, he's getting pieces from our pile here. They're random lengths, and he's tapping them in. Now the one thing he's being careful about when he does this is notice the joints. There's a joint here on this one, and this joint is got to be, what is it, 6 inches apart?
Yeah.
I think it says 6 inches, so 6 inches or more. The joint should be offset. So he's picked just the right piece. It's obviously too short. Another one might be too long, but he's going to try to find one that has minimal cutting. If you do this right, as we did on the other floor, you can usually get away with cutting, I would say, 4 inches or less. You're just going to tap these in tight, like so. Keep them 3/4 of an inch away from the wall there. And then the first row we had to put nails in the top. The second row we have to put nails in. We'll have to pre-drill again and put a nail in right there. And then finally on the third row we'll get to use the nail gun. We've not been able to use the nail gun so far because it won't fit. You try to put it in there and it hits the wall, it won't fit in there. So first 2 rows always have to be done by hand. Right in the tongue, right above the tongue, you can see, I'm going to drill a 45-degree angle nail. And then I'm going to nail, hammer, and let's see, drive it in. Now drive that all the way to flat, and then I'm going to get a punch, put it on top of the nail, and pound it in, because the next board's got to, there. See how that's like, you can't feel it with your fingernail, it's gone, because the next board obviously is going to have to squeeze in next there. So again, we're going to do that hand width apart, 8 inches or so. Every 8 inches we're going to drill holes. Make sure this is good and tight. They call it gymnasium tight, which is, you want to keep this really tight. It's kind of hard on the first row, but we're going to try to keep that tight and then put our nails in.